Hey, what's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Timeout with Doc and Caveman. As always, I'm Dr. Fantasy here with the Fantasy Caveman. We have lots to talk about today with NBA All-Star Weekend wrapping up and no games for a few more days here as we record. So the All-Star festivities are going to be mostly what we talk about today. But before we head into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of the G League. Adam Silver made some interesting comments during the All-Star weekend about the future of the G League. So I'm going to pull up a few of what the comments that he made here and read them. But he said, I think given what's happened, I think we're in the process of reassessing Team Ignite, which he said during the All-Star weekend, because now some of those players who didn't want to be one and done players because they felt it was unfair and they wanted the ability not to just earn a living playing basketball, but to do commercial deals that weren't available to them in college, to hire professional agents, an opportunity that wasn't available to them at college. They have all of those same opportunities because of the name, image, and likeness deals that college players can sign now. And he said, I'm not sure what the future of Team Ignite will be because before there was a hole in the marketplace that we thought we were filling before doing that. And now my focus is turning to earlier development of those players. So Adam Silver kind of hinting at maybe the G League is going to be short lived. The G League Ignite team has overall been pretty weak this year as well. They're 6-31 is their record right now. They have the league's worst offensive rating at 102.6 points per 100 possessions. And they've been just kind of terrible over the last few years. We've seen Jalen Green and Scoot Henderson, guys with high expectations, struggle a little more than we were expecting as well. I think a lot of people thought these guys were going to jump in and be stars from day one, but struggling early on. So, okay, man, you think it's a good idea for the G League to fold, or what do you think about these comments?
Yeah, I mean, he makes a good point. He makes several good points. He forgot to include Dyson Daniels in that mix of players that's recently came up. But
I'm not giving up yet. No.
not but I mean I mean he's right. Like at this point, and I think the NIL stuff is really good for young players to be able to come in to be able to make a living, before they get into the NBA. I think it's a great thing. I think it's something that should have been a thing a long time ago, and it kind of took them a little bit longer than I would like to see them get to this point. But as far as the G League, like what I don't see the point anymore. With the whole NIL stuff, and you talked about Silver now turn his attention to getting these players more ready from a younger age, and just extending on what he said. He was like he's getting a lot of feedback from these coaches that saying the players are coming in very individually skilled. Some probably the most skilled these players have ever been coming into the league, but these younger players don't know how to play defense and don't know how to play team basketball.
That's shocking to me.
Uh, I feel like it's not though. I feel like it's not.
Not even a little bit.
But that's kind of I think that's kind of where he said Adam Silver's going to really focus on how he can get the younger players and youth trying to focus more on defense, because these players are coming in skilled, but these players aren't coming in really knowing how to play defense, and it's making it harder for the coaches at like the high school level and whatnot to really get their guys prepared. Because you think the job of like a high school basketball coach is to teach kind of teach them what they need to know in order to get ready for the next step of their life, where they go on to college or whatnot, basketball. And I think this generation, it's getting more difficult for them to get through to the players that they need to learn how to play defense. And I still think the defense win championships still a real thing. And
Well, you actually believe that? You don't believe that.
I mean, that's what people say.
Okay. It's like
They
you
say
don't believe
defense,
that.
but I don't believe it's a good thing to not have the younger players coming into the league not knowing how to play defense. That's not, not everyone can get by. Like, I mean, James Harden's playing defense now, but not everybody can be as offensively skilled as James Harden, and has been, or like a Russell Westbrook, or Steph Curry tries, but he's not really that great of a defender. But not everybody comes in with that skill set, So, I think that's kind of what Adam Silver is trying to fix.
Yeah, I mean, I've always said, for years now that defense is just effort. I don't even think that defense is a skill. I really don't. I think just effort is the skill that you need to play defense a lot of times. I didn't play basketball for a very long time, but I mean, I couldn't score, but I was always giving it 100% on defense, and that's the only reason that I ever played is because I was going to be pesky and annoying when I did play. But I think it's even beyond defense. I think when you look at the skill set of like Luka and Jokic, they just play a much more well-rounded game with a higher basketball IQ. And that's what he was talking about when he was comparing the US to the international game. When you look at just the style of play, it's just very different. And I don't think internationally those guys are necessarily playing strong defense either. I don't think Jokic or Luka have the reputation for being strong defenders, but I think it's just a more well-rounded skill set. You see a lot of US players are very skilled at scoring, and some of them are strong facilitators, but they're athletes that can score. I think that's just typically what you see from most US born players. And Adam Silver did mention that being the next focus of just developing younger and younger in youth basketball. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see, elementary age kids in NBA leagues that, the NBA has a part in developing the programming and the coaching, getting higher end coaches at lower levels as well. So that'll be kind of interesting. He noted that 30% of the league now comes from outside of the United States, which is the highest it's ever been. And the more when you look at this year's NBA draft class, you and I were talking about this off camera a few weeks ago, but we don't know many of the players, and that's because like half of the top 10, if not more, depending on what mock draft, sometimes it's 8 guys in the top 10 are all international prospects that we haven't really watched play at all. So it's just interesting to see how the game's evolving in that direction. And I think the U.S. players in the NBA want to make sure that U.S. players are staying competitive to level out the playing field internationally. So, and there's part of that too. We've seen in the Olympics where the U.S. hasn't been the dominant force that they've always been over the last decade or so. And this year should be different when you look at that roster. If they don't win a gold medal,
they don't win gold.
They have problems. We have bigger problems. I don't care about anything else in this country except the U.S. winning basketball gold. That's all that we need to be focused on.
With that team.
Speaking of effort, though, let's talk about the NBA All-Star Game weekend. That's a great segue here because effort and All-Star Weekend usually go hand in hand in my experience. So let's talk a little bit about the NBA All-Star Game festivities. We'll skip over some of the more boring things. I'll bring them up in passing. But so we had the celebrity game, which going off of the celebrity rosters, the use of the term celebrity is very loose here. Just for the record, I don't know how many of these people you can actually qualify, but Michael Parsons was the MVP there with 37 points, which has to be a celebrity game record because I don't even know if there's that many points scored in most of them, but 37 points and 16 rebounds. You had the Rising Stars competition where Team Jalen took home the championship. Benedict Mathurin with the MVP honors there. We had the skills competition where Team Indiana, the Pacers roster there, 3 guys took home the crown there. That's the least exciting part of the weekend. So then on Saturday night we have the 3-point and dunk contest, which I know you very much enjoy. So what do you think about? What are your thoughts on those two events there?
Just before we get into, I'm sure you for sure trashing the effort of the All-Star game.
Never.
If you watch the celebrity game, they were playing.
Oh, they
Like,
do.
they were,
Yeah, I like the celebrity game actually.
they gave effort. And I think it was weird because this was like the first year in a while for the celebrity game that there wasn't really a lot of like hoopers, like basketball players.
Yeah.
I think the only basketball player was Ron Artest, and he barely. I don't know if he even played that I noticed, but I mean it was I like the celebrity game just because it's it's fun. You get the chance to see people. I didn't know that many people this year either, but usually like Quavo's in there and
Yeah, where's Quavo?
whatnot. But the effort that was different, so that was fun. But going on to the two fun events of the weekend, I'd say. I mean, you didn't mention Steph and Sabrina on their 3-point battle. I'm so shocked that Steph won. I'm so surprised.
You're surprised? Yeah, I bet you are.
I mean, if we're being honest, can anybody look at themselves in the mirror and say they believe Sabrina was winning a 3-point contest with Curry? Like,
Probably not, but I mean, she did put up 26, which would have advanced her to the finals in the regular 3-point contest. Just saying.
I mean, true. I am like they at least they used the same 3-point line now. I believe that she had like the women's basketball, but that's fine. They were using the same 3-point line, so but you can never bet against Steph. But and then the 3-point competition, we will say that Damian Lillard, who now if he could bring this kind of game to regular season action, where he's been sucking, then the Bucks would be in really good shape.
Mm-hmm.
But he is the first player to have history, the first player to win All-Star Game MVP and the 3-point competition in the same weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So there's something there. But Damian, not shocked to see Damian Lillard win the 3-point competition. I mean, is if your name's not if it's well, there's really I'm just happy to see Damian Lillard win it. The dunk contest, however, a lot of people have been saying the dunk contest is one of those that have been on the decline recently. A lot of people are saying the dunks have been stale and we've been seeing the same stuff. But I think this dunk contest was actually really good. I mean, we didn't have a ton of missed dunks. So that's not something. And then I mean you went from my favorite moment. I mean, of course there's several good dunks, but you saw the one where Jaylen Brown put the glove on his left hand.
Yeah.
And then did like a fucking reverse and finished the dunk with his left hand, like, because that's a whole thing where people say Jaylen Brown can't finish with the left hand. So I think that was pretty neat. You had the dunk where Mac McClung, who like I don't know how this guy hasn't even gotten a real shot, a fair shot in the NBA, because this guy's can jump out of the building. He had that dunk where he did a reverse, but he let go of the ball and grabbed it again before he dunked it.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's impressive. That's impressive. And then he had the dunk. He was talking about after the game where Shaq wore his high school jersey.
Mm-hmm.
Which, first of all, Shaq was involved on like almost every dunk attempt.
Yeah, that was weird. Like he's some Pacers legend or something. He's not even from Indiana.
But I mean, we'll say that the final one where Mac McClung jumped over Shaq and actually cleared him and didn't need, like, sometimes, a lot of times what that happens, they kind of use their hand to kind of, like, prop and push him, like push her so he can actually get over him.
Mm-hmm.
He actually cleared him.
Yeah, he just cleared him. Yeah.
Just cleared him with a reverse dunk while Shaq was wearing his jersey, and then McClung was talking after the game and was like, he was surprised that Shaq would do it, wear his jersey, and Shaq was like, "You better not miss." And he didn't. You can't miss when you got Shaq wearing your high school jersey, but I just think it was a fun dunk contest, and then Matt McClung was asked after the game what he was gonna do with the $100,000 that he got for winning the dunk contest, and he was like, probably not much towards my investments and whatnot. So he's a pretty boring guy, I guess. He ain't gonna do anything cool with it, but
that's why he hasn't gotten a shot in the NBA.
Well, what do you got? What do you got about all the other events before we get to the All-Star game itself?
The All-Star nonsense. Yeah, I mean, the 3-point contest is what it is. I mean, Dame put on a good show for it. He likes to perform when the lights are on. We'll see if he has a chance come playoff time to actually make some relevant shots, but he had a good performance there. The dunk contest, I think it's positive overall that Jaylen Brown participated. It's been well noted in the media, but All-Stars typically don't participate in the dunk contest. He was the first one in quite a few years.
2017, I think.
Yeah, something around there. I think it might have been. I don't know I know Donovan Mitchell did it a few years back, but I don't think he made the All-Star team that year. But yeah, either way, it's been 8 years, somewhere around there, since the last time it happened. I mean, if you think back to the early, in the 80s and 90s, it was common to see Michael Jordan and Clyde Drexler and all of these all-stars perform and win this contest every year. So we'll see if this starts a trend. I mean, I think it'd be cool to just have like 4 or 5 all-stars going at it in the dunk contest. I think that would make it exciting. For some
3 all-stars and Matt McClung.
No, Matt McClung's not going to do it again. And he hasn't gotten a shot because he can just jump really high. That's barely a basketball skill.
Come on. He's like, he has a chance. I don't think anybody, I know that
he's in the G League.
I know he's in the G, no, but I'm saying, like, I know several people have won back-to-back contests, but I don't know if anybody's ever won 3 straight dunk contests.
Oh, no, I forget. I think Dwight Howard won 3 times. No, Nate Robinson won 3 times, but not in a row.
Yeah, so Nate Robinson's the only person to ever win 3. Matt McClung has a chance to do it 3 years in a row. I mean, I'd be shocked to not see him in the dunk contest again next year.
He said he wasn't sure, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. I thought that I don't think Jaylen Brown deserved to be there. His one dunk that got him into the final round was kind of lame, where he jumped over that guy in the chair.
Tyson. I actually know who that is, actually.
That was just sad. It felt like they wanted him to make the finals because of him doing it as an all-star. I actually really liked Jacob Toppin's 360 between the legs dunk. I thought that was very much underrated and should have been highly, or scored more highly than it was. But yeah, I feel like we're getting to a point where it's tough in the dunk contest because how many revolutionary dunks can you really make at this point? It's more about the showmanship and just making it entertaining at this point. You can only do so many things with a basketball and dunking. So we're getting to that point where I don't know how you spice it up except just making it more of a show, getting bigger name players. I think it's interesting that Jaylen Brown was so competitive, and Jaylen Brown did play fairly hard in the All-Star game, so I guess I can't say anything negative about him, but it's just interesting how they try so hard in this dunk contest, but then the All-Star game, it's barely like, no, it exists. So we'll transition then to the All-Star game, which if you like offense, it was very entertaining. We had a lot of records. Damian Lillard with the MVP, as you mentioned, was the first player to win a three-point contest, an MVP in the same year. The only other time anyone's even won a Saturday night contest in an MVP was Michael Jordan in 1988. He won the dunk contest in the All-Star game MVP. We had the East, who won with a record or 211 to 186. Those 211 points were the most ever for any team in any basketball game, including the All-Star game, obviously. We had the most three-pointers ever made by the Eastern Conference, the most shot attempts, the highest total combined points with that 211 to 186. I think one of the things that's interesting that went under the radar is Karl Anthony Towns had 44 points in the fourth quarter for a total of, and that was the most points ever in a quarter in the All-Star game, which they didn't really ever talk about, but he had 50 points total for the game. 55 was the record from Jason Tatum. So Karl Anthony Towns had an outside shot at breaking that if he kept up his ridiculous run in the fourth quarter. But yeah, high scoring game, no defensive effort. The best part, this is really saying something, was Draymond Green's commentary on the alternate broadcast. I did think
yes, we got Draymond Green mentioned.
Yeah, we just had to make sure that the Warriors didn't go unmentioned here. So he did a good job on that.
We talked about Steph Curry already.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. He did come up.
And this has been my favorite episode now because you're the one that I mentioned it. I mentioned it off camera, so I got it out of the way before we recorded.
I did enjoy it. I thought he did. Him and Charles Barkley are funny together because Charles Barkley says things that most people get canceled for, but for some reason we're just like, Charles Barkley's an idiot. It's fine when he says that.
Oh man. But yeah, I mean, I get the criticism of this All-Star game, and I don't know. First, I don't know what the NBA is going to do going forward to be able to prepare this. But me, I don't mind it. Yeah, I do. I love offense, but furthermore, it's like it's not so much about the game. You see a bunch of clips of before the game and during all the festivities. The NBA players, having fun. There was a wholesome moment where Damian Lillard, with his daughter was trying to take a photo of him with what looked like one of those disposable cameras.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She couldn't figure out how to do it, and so he had to he was trying to show her how to work the disposable camera, which I thought that was kind of a fun and wholesome moment. And then you had the moment where Jokic kind of put the water bottle on the back of Luka's neck while he was at the podium. You got moments like that, and I think the issue, at least for me, is if you try making this game more competitive and make it more about the game, which you are then I think you're kind of taking away those moments, because then if you're trying to make it more competitive and make it more like an actual game, I think you're kind of taken away from the fun, the whole the spectacle of it and whatnot. Now There is one interesting uh idea that I heard floated around, and that was the possibility of making the winner of the All-Star game, that conference having home court in the finals. I mean, what do you think? Do you think that is something that, could incentivize players enough to try more? I mean,
Only the guys that have a chance at fighting for that, right? Not all those guys are on competitive teams. Yeah, I mean, the NBA has a decision to make. I think I almost turned the TV off when Luca had that full court heave. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I don't like. It's one thing. Dame like made some shots that were basically half
that
court.
half quarter.
He was taking like one step past half court, chucking it up and making it regularly, which was kind of impressive. But at the same time, like, I don't know, like a little bit of ball movement or so, I don't know. But I think the NBA has a decision to make here. There's two directions you can go here, and the NFL has taken a stance on this. You can either choose to go and try to incentivize the players to play more competitively, or you can just really lean into it being a fun event. Like, and I think right now they're stuck in the middle. Like, they want guys to play hard, but they're not playing hard. So, like, the NFL, it's not even the Pro Bowl, it's the Pro Bowl games now. And I know that's a minor difference, but it's a flag football game. Like, nobody is watching that seriously as a football game. It's meant solely just for fun. And I think the NBA needs to make that decision. Are we going full out incentivizing players to play hard, or are we going to say, you know what? The players enjoy making this fun. We're going to just make this a fun event. We're going to keep rolling with it. I think they need to choose a direction and lean into it and be strong with that decision, because I think this middle ground of like, well, we want them to be competitive and some players are playing hard and some other, like, it makes me love somebody like Scotty Barnes even more, who's like running for defensive rebounds, and like I love that guy so much. He was one of my guys coming out of Florida State, and he's like lived up to everything I hoped he would be, just being like an energetic, charismatic, like I don't know. I just he's the kind of guy I'd want to build my team around if I was building a franchise. But anyway, so that's what I think about the event as a whole. It's, I get it when guys like Luca, to me he's like the epitome of it, because you could tell Luca just did not care about being on the court for 1 second of the entire game. He just wanted to go pull a prank on Jokic, like on the bench the entire. I think him and Jokic might have a thing off the court, because they were like all over each other the entire NBA All-Star weekend. But anyway, I that's what I think. I think at the end of the day, the NBA just needs to make a decision and stick to it, because I don't like this middle ground. And if they do end up trying to make it more, and I feel like most of the other events are already geared towards just like that fun atmosphere. So I think it's going to be tough for Adam Silver, because I think Adam Silver like falls in line with me, where he wants to see the greatest players on the planet put 100% effort in, because imagine how amazing that game could be if they were playing their top. So I think Adam Silver's might have to put his ego aside here a little bit and his personal opinions, and saying like, I'm not going to be able to incentivize these unless, like I said a few episodes ago, if you want to put $1 million for each one of these guys on the line, but still, we're talking some of these guys making 40, $50 million a year. Is $1 million even enough to get them out of bed? I would think so. For some of them, they're on.
I think that would.
You'd be surprised. I mean, maybe not LeBron, but or Steph Curry, but most of the other guys, I think you would see a little bit of effort. But I think it's going to be tough. I don't think Adam Silver wants to lean into the fun, so I think it's going to be
he does not.
this debate with Adam Silver trying to get players to play with more effort, and the players being like, "Nah, we're good." But I think either way, you got to find a way to choose it and stick to it.
Yeah, and even the night before, like Saturday night before the game, when Adam Silver was talking, I think he went into the game expecting it to be a little bit more competitive.
Did you see when he gave out the MVP award? He's like, Eastern Conference, you scored a lot of points. It's like, okay, he was not happy. And I also loved, by the side note, how the Pacers fans were booing Damian Lillard. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, it's probably
they wanted Halliburton to win MVP.
that, and they probably have something to do. Hit the Indiana and Milwaukee has developed into a little bit of a
Yeah, it has.
actual rivalry now, so that has something to do with it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, like Adam Silver is in a very, very difficult position with this going forward. I mean, you make a lot of sense. I mean, he kind of has to decide whether he's gonna kind of dig his foot in the ground and and be like, find ways to make this more, at least try to compel them to be more competitive. And money's always an answer. You can
Yeah,
always
I think so.
but the thing is, like, how much, like, a lot, you gotta think, and yeah, as the case with a lot of this, especially with the All Stars, it's not like the Rising Stars or game or anything where the players aren't really making a lot of money, because most of these All Stars are making 30-40 million dollars plus a year. But $1 million is still a lot of money, I think, to to at least have guys give some effort. I don't think it's realistic for guys to treat this like a real ultra competitive game. Because the reality is, that's just not what it is.
Yeah.
It's not, that's why I brought up, you at least if you made it decide home court for the finals, I mean, you would get a good chunk of guys from each side putting in effort, because you don't think if home court decided decided the winner, home court deciding the winner, that you wouldn't see guys like Giannis giving more effort, guys like, he's offense. Oh, I want to say offense. Dame doesn't give effort defensively, so
He never does, so it's just another night at the office for him.
yeah, but you gotta think guys like, guys like Count, not even Count don't play defense. Well, he has this season a little bit, but you see most of the guys.
I think the theme here is none of these stars ever give any defensive effort.
That I was trying to, like, okay. But you don't think I think that
No, I
if you
agree.
made something like that, I think you'd get guys with give more effort defensively, which in turn wouldn't end up. I think if you did that, then I don't think either side scores over 200 points. If there's some defense being played, but me, I get the criticism, but at the same time, I feel like I might be among the minority here. But I really didn't mind it, and I still found it fun. I like to see guys joke around and throw up shots and just have fun with it.
Yeah, I mean, basically, we're all just a bunch of we hate fun kind of people here. We want to see good, clean, competitive basketball. Yeah, I mean, we've seen the the MLB has done the home field advantage for a while in the All-Star game. I feel like you do get a little more effort, honestly, in the MLB All-Star. Of all the All-Star games, I could argue that's the one where we see the most effort. So I don't know whether or not it's directly because of that, but it probably doesn't hurt. So we'll see. I think it'll be interesting. I don't think that you're going to see under Adam Silver's tenure this become like just a fun fest all weekend. That's just the sense that I get. But I think a lot of the solution of what's going to work is going to have to come behind closed doors, talking to LeBron and talking to these stars and being like, what would make you care about this? And the answer for some guys is going to be nothing. So actually, we didn't talk about this, but Anthony Davis made some comments about it too, who said a lot of the guys on that All-Star team, their only concern is I want to leave this weekend without getting hurt. And maybe that's just Anthony Davis because he trips over.
No, that's a very valid point.
So for him, even if we put $5 million on the line, if he, got hurt and was out for the rest of the season, is that worth playing for that? $5 million is a crazy number, but I don't know. Even still, is that worth it to him to play in that game? And if you're on the losing team, you're not getting that payout too. So, I mean, there's also an incentive like, hey, we're all just not going to try, and whoever gets, I don't know. So that's an interesting, I don't know if there's any way to prevent that piece of it not getting hurt. I mean, I feel like there's a path here too where you can, and I know this might look bad, but you have some of these guys sit out that don't want to play. Honestly, I think we're to a point where there are guys like, you don't think that if Sabonis had a chance to get in there, like after being snubbed, that he would have played his guts out in that game. Like, I would rather have Sabonis playing his guts out than Luka chucking up full court shots. And I know Luka is one of the best in the world, but he's not when he's playing like that. So at that
God,
point,
he's so out of shape. Like, he looks so out of shape all the time.
I don't know how he misses it. Him and Jokic can barely get off the ground to dunk. You are way too tall to not be able to dunk the ball, my friends.
I'm telling you, that near the end, at the end of the game, when they were like, they cleared the path for Jokic to go dunk, and he couldn't dunk.
I have
He's
no
7
idea.
foot.
I hope he was joking around and that wasn't like a real attempt at dunking.
He's 7 foot and missed the.
We have Wemby who can dunk without even jumping, and like, you're 7 feet tall and you can't. That's just.
I've never seen Jokic dunk. Has he ever dunked?
I think he got one down in the game. Yeah.
But I mean,
Barely though.
but that's the thing, like, and that's kind of getting to the overall point of this as we wrap this up. It's like if you try to make the game more serious, you're taking away, like, I mean, we're talking about that moment. It was a fun moment. It was a funny moment in the game. You know, you try to make the game ultra competitive, you're taking away like that moment and that kind of stuff surrounding the game.
Yeah, I mean, I'd almost rather scrap the entire game. If you wanted to go the full fun route, do like a 3-on-3 tournament where 3 guys against 3 guys, and you have them pick their teams. I don't care. Pick who you want to be a team on. Have it old bracket style where you have 3 against 3, and then you have whatever 16 teams will say, and make 2 sides of the bracket come together for a championship. I don't know. I feel like that would just be a more laid back fun, like, it's 3-on-3, it's not full court. You do have half court 3-on-3, so they don't have to run as far. I feel like that could be just a fun alternative to this if they really wanted to lean into the fun part. But because I kind of actually like that. I mean, that's kind of how they did the Rising Stars contest now, where they split it up into those 4 teams, where it was the G League Ignite team and then 3 other teams mixed with rookies and sophomores. But I kind of liked that, where it was more tournament style. I was like, I don't know, I kind of like that. So if they did that with the All-Star game, I actually don't think, and maybe they just split up the All-Stars that way rather than having one big game. They just split up the All-Stars into, and then maybe the winning team, each player gets a few $1 million that way too, if you really wanted to try to incentivize it. But anyway, that's my idea, Adam Silver. If you're listening, I know you are.
As I say, my idea has been to take the MLB's formula, and I think it would change the effort for a good amount of players. But I mean, but at the end of the day, I don't see a scenario where they're just gonna scrap the All-Star game and not have it. I don't see that being a scenario. So it's going to be very interesting to see where it goes from here.
And something will happen. It seems like it's definitely at the top of Adam Silver's mind. I still think
that's going to be like the number one.
Yeah.
We don't care about low management. We don't care about the NBA All-Star game. That's number 1 on his list.
Yeah, I see where he's coming from, and I get that, he wants to see more effort from. I still think there's a path to somehow having one of those in-season championships during All-Star weekend. If he really wants there to be competitive basketball, just shift the in-season tournament to be during All-Star weekend. And yeah, it's not the All-Stars, but at least you're getting like a super uber competitive game. So if maybe that'll fill his competitive juices.
Or maybe have like the championship game of the in-season tournament. Yeah. Be the headlining event. Yep. But and then you still got like the 3-point contest, and you still got the dunk contest, and but it's a scenario where thing is, here's the thing, like, and before we wrap this up, we said we were gonna wrap it up about 10 times already.
That's fine. We're
But
just chatting at this
we're
point.
just, but it's like, here's the thing was like, that scenario would be tough because while it would make it more competitive, I think the NBA players are entitled in a way where they want to be there, but they don't. They just want to be there and have fun.
Yeah.
They don't want to play a competitive game. They just want to be there and have fun. So if you take that away and try to make this a competitive game, you're then taking away a lot of these marquee players from even being at All-Star Weekend. So it's like, that's
I think
something.
that's what they want. I don't think they want to even be there. I think they'd rather go, and even Anthony Davis said that in addition to his injury comment. He's like, this is a break for us. Like, we just want to have a break. So I think a lot of them would just prefer to have a break. Have a break then. Don't come to the All-Star game. Don't require players to be there. I don't know if, I mean, I guess they could opt out. I guess it's technically a bad look, but you had LeBron like barely play, and Kawhi only played 10 minutes. Paul George only played 10 minutes. I mean, so you have that option too. I guess they can show up and not play as many minutes. I didn't even get to mention, I was going to say something about how Doc Rivers got to have his first win in 2024 as a coach in the All-Star game. I didn't even get to say that. I was going to be part of my opener, and I didn't even say it.
Oh, you did bring up a point. That's what we should really close on, is how this helps. I mean, I guess Milwaukee's kind of like the key piece in this because you got Lillard that won the 3-point contest and won the All-Star Game MVP. Do you think that this, in any way, like, like this could build?
No.
I don't like. I think maybe this is kind of like, maybe this gives Lillard like a confidence boost. Maybe because Lillard, I'm not singling Lillard out for the reason the Bucks have been struggling, but he has been a key reason. He's not the reason, but he's been one of the reasons. I think this weekend, we win the 3-point contest, All-Star Game MVP with almost 40 points. I mean, maybe this gives Lillard a confidence boost.
On defense?
He's been struggling with his shot. We didn't even talk about the defense.
Well, they need defensive help.
I don't know, but he's been shooting not good. He ain't been shooting like he was in the 3-point contest.
You can mark it down right now. The Eastern Conference Championship will be the Celtics and Pacers. Mark it down.
What, over your Cavaliers?
Yeah, it's going to be the Pacers and the Celtics.
Ain't no way Milwaukee loses the series to Indiana at this point.
Oh, they are. You watch. It's going to have. I feel there's a lot of momentum for the Pacers right now. Reggie Miller convinced me.
Did he?
No, we'll see. The East is going to be competitive.
We'll see. That's the point I wanted to make. I think this could be, at least on the offensive end, this could be like a confidence boost for a guy like Damian Lillard to maybe break out of his slump that he's been in.
Yeah, maybe he just needs to take more half-court shots. That's what he's been missing this entire time. He hasn't been taking half-court shots.
Hey, Steph Curry, he's like a step below Steph, you can, if Steph does that in a game, they're like, oh, that's not a bad shot.
I mean, as much as I don't like the lack of effort, I mean, it is kind of hard to defend that when you're just like taking a shot from half court. So maybe that's the answer to getting more open shots. But I was every time he made one of those half court shots, I was like, wow. Like I said, wow out loud. Like it was impressive. I'm not going to even.
Now he just needs to do it in the game, and
That's all it takes. All right. Anything else for NBA All-Star Weekend? The next time we talk, we will have games happening again, and we'll see. It will only be a few games in by the next time we talk, so it might not be a lot of fun news, but
Yeah, we might have, there might be, there might be more comments that Adam Silver says about, about stuff that come out in the next couple of days about what happened during All-Star Weekend, So we'll see.
I also liked some of the comments that people had about not liking it being in Indiana. I thought that was hilarious because it has been very cold here for the last few weeks, and there's a few people that's who was it that I saw? Oh, Josh Hart from the Knicks. Did you see this comment where he said, "I'm glad I didn't make the All-Star team because the only time I ever plan on going to Indiana is when we play the Pacers at home." It's like, yeah, that seems fair.
They're not gonna like that. Boston and Milwaukee are making bids to host future All-Star games.
Yeah, Charles Barkley said that he just wants it to be in nice weather places. So I think we should listen to Charles Barkley.
Stephen A. Smith would probably agree. And Stephen A. Smith hates.
Stephen A. Smith twisted and had an ankle injury from warming up for the All-Star game, celebrity game. Did you see that?
I did.
Yeah.
Oh
Stephen A. Smith hurt his ankle in warm-ups of the celebrity game. He was one of the coaches, by the way. He wasn't even playing in the game and hurt himself. So.
Oh my god. Oh man, a lot of people. I love Stephen A. Man, he's
just entertainment at this point. Like I
so
literally
funny.
view him like a clown. He's like an NBA clown.
He's just a fun. He's just funny,
That's what people take him too seriously. I think he's just funny too. I agree with you actually. But all right, I think that's it then. We'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed NBA All-Star Weekend.